morning, everyone. Welcome to visalearning.com. We are the global knowledge partner for immigration. My name is Madhvi, and I'm going to be your host for today's session. And I also take an opportunity to thank you all for making this session successful by providing your valuable comments, feedbacks, and suggestions on the last webinar sessions we had. So, with all your support and cooperation, we are here today to share more updates, news, and information about immigration. All right, so the agenda for today's session would be Canada immigration news and updates that will have about from 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. IST, where we will be covering upon the express entry draws of March 2019. We'll know about PEI, that is Prince Edward Island expression of interest draws, which was on 21st March 2019. We'll also know about the Atlantic Immigration Growth Strategy, that is for AIPP, which extended up to December 2021. And also we will talk about where Canada added 56,000 jobs in February 2019. We'll also see where Ontario nominated more immigrants for permanent residency in the year 2019, and about British Columbia's regional pilot for immigrant entrepreneur opens for business. Last but not the least, for Canada immigration, we have updates on Nova Scotia, the labor market priorities. The second part of the session would be about Australia immigration news and updates. That will take about 20 minutes from 11:30 a.m. to 11:50 a.m. IST, where we'll know more about VETASIS, which changed the employment length calculation, and also about the updates for PhD students. We'll talk about partner visa sponsorship changes which are in requirement. And the last one for Australia immigration would be about the new immigration agreements to benefit South Australia. We're going to end up the session with USA immigration news and general updates for about 10 minutes from 11:50 a.m. to 12 p.m. IST, which speaks more about the EB5 visas, wherein we had an increase of 300% in numbers of entrepreneurial visa since last 2 years. And also, we'll look into a new update about CELPIP, that is CELPIP, which is just an information for your knowledge. All right. So moving ahead with Canada immigration news and updates. So let's know about the express entry draws for the year 2019, the month of March, wherein the Government of Canada has introduced or issued 3,350 invitations to apply for Canadian permanent residency, which is really an amazing kickstart for this year. And also, we can see the table given below, which speaks more about the number of invitations which were for 6th March 2019, wherein the number was 112 and the invitation numbers were 3,350, wherein the cutoff this year it was 454. About the second draw, which was held on 20th March 2019, the numbers were 113 and the total number of invitations were about 3,350. And we can see the cutoff score was 452. And also, the IRCC has issued a number of 21,200 ITAs, that is, invitations to apply this year through Express Entry System. Let's move on to the comparison chart of ITAs as of March 2015 until 2019. Well, so talking about the year 2015, we had a number of 14,500 ITAs issued. However, in the year 2019, there is a drastic increase of numbers from 14,500 to 21,500 ITAs. So on a total number of 6,700 ITAs were added for the year 2019. Okay, so this slide talks about a graph wherein we had a minimum CRS score and the time between the express entry draws, cutoff score decrease in the latest express entry draws. Upon looking into this graph, in January 30th, 2019, we had a cutoff score of 438. So within a time frame of 21 days, the cutoff score was increased to 500. I'm sorry, it was 457. So leaving with a difference of 19 numbers by the month of February 20th, 2019. Again, if we see in the 14 days of time frame, the cutoff score came down to 454 in numbers. That's until March 6th, 2019. So finally, from March 6th, 2019 to March 20th, 2019, the CRS score decreased to 452 with a time frame of 14 days. Let's move on to the next slide, which talks about the expression of interest draw of 21st March 2019 of Prince Edward Island, wherein it holds a monthly draw for immigration candidates who have already submitted an EOI to its Immigrant Nominee Program. It also takes an honor to take that PEI is one of the 11 Canadian provinces and immigration territories that take part in Canada's provincial nomination program, which lets them nominate a set number of immigration candidates for Canadian PR every year. Therefore, a total number of 150 invitations were issued to candidates in PEI, expression entry, labor impact, and business impact immigration categories in the March 21st draw, raising the total number of invitations issued this year through the PEI PNP to 440 numbers. All right, moving ahead to the next slide, wherein with an immense pleasure, I also want to tell that the federal government has announced the AIPP to increase the popular pathway to permanent residency, wherein Canada is extending its Atlantic Immigration Pilot, that's AIPP, to December 2021 in a bid to maintain the program's momentum. The AIPP was launched in the year 2017 for an initial 3-year run, wherein the AIP was created to address labor shortages in the province of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador. So according to the statistics released by IRCC, that's Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship Canada, a number of 1,896 employees in the Atlantic Canada region have made about 3,729 job offers through the AIP since the launch in 2017, and a number of 2,535 principal applicants and their families have been approved for permanent residencies in Canada. All right, so here is another great opportunity wherein Canada has added 56,000 jobs in February 2019. So it's a yet another surge in employment wherein these gains were pushed by province of Ontario and also driven by increases in full-time work, wherein a total of 67,400 full-time jobs were added in the month of February, while 11,600 part-time jobs were cut off, leaving a total of 56,000 full-time Canadian jobs created. Although 56,000 jobs were created this month, the unemployment remained the same as previous months, at a national average of 5.8%. So the employment driven by Ontario has boosted its employment gains for the second consecutive month, wherein in the last year the employment has risen by 2.7 percentage, or we can say about 192,000 jobs. The following trends were have been before. The majority of job growth continues to be in the professional, scientific, and technical services. So in the year 2018, the occupations that received the most invitations to apply for Canada PR were in technical sectors only. Okay, so talking about the Ontario, which nominated more immigrants for PR in the year 2019. So we can see here the nomination of 6,900 immigration candidates for Canada PR through its immigrant nominee program in the year 2019, wherein Ontario, in Canada's most populous province, remains the destination of choice for the majority of immigrants to Canada every year. So when compared to the last year, the Ontario Immigration Nomination Program, that's OINP, allocation of 6,600 nominations was the largest granted through the PNP. And also, OINP received an additional 250 nominations towards the end of the year 2018 that brought total nomination for the year to about 6,850 numbers. We also see that Ontario has requested an additional number of 1,000 nominations for the year 2019, and for a total of 7,600 nominations, noting that strong demand for Ontario immigration nomination program. Ontario's allocation boost for 2019 reflects the fact Canada's annual admission target for the PNP has been increased for both 2019 and 2020. So this year's national target of 61,000 new permanent residents is an increase of 6,000 over 2018's target of 55,000. Let's look into the next slide, which speaks about the British Columbia's regional pilot for immigrant entrepreneur opens for business. So the entrepreneurs interested in immigration to British Columbia through the province new regional pilot can now take the first step towards obtaining a community referral. So the pilot, which opens in the month of March 14, is designed to help smaller, more remote communities in the province attract new businesses and create jobs. And also for the experienced entrepreneur, there's an approved through the entrepreneur immigration, wherein the regional pilot receives a temporary work permit to start their business and also can later apply for a provincial nomination for Canadian permanent residency if they meet the conditions specified in their performance agreement. So usually the pilot is meant for regional communities of less than 75,000 people that are located more than 30 kilometers from a large population center. So it was created actually to address the demographic and economic challenges that many of these towns and cities are facing currently. All right. So let's talk about the express entry labor market priorities of Nova Scotia, wherein the labor market priorities stream provides a pathway to Canadian permanent residency for express entry candidates who usually meet specified labor market needs in the province. So this unique stream is flexible and the specified occupations and criteria could vary from draw to draw depending on Nova Scotia's labor market and social needs. So the Nova Scotia labor market priorities stream targets express entry candidates. So the candidates who are interested in applying under this stream must have a valid federal express entry profile under one of the three federal economic immigration programs, such as Federal Skilled Worker, that's FSW, Federal Skilled Trades Class, which is FSST, and also Canadian Experience Class, which is CEC. So this is the Nova Scotia's labor market priorities, which was held on 20th March 2019. So there's a letter of interest issued to the express entry candidates who have selected French as their first official language and have a Canadian language benchmark score of 7 or higher in French in all language abilities, and also who have English as a second official language with a Canadian language benchmark score of CLB 5 or higher in English in all language abilities, and also who holds a bachelor degree or have completed a program of 3 or more years at a university, college, trade or technical school, or also any other institute. So they have submitted an expression of interest to the express entry pool on or after September 20th, 2018. So this is a new immigrants which made a 61% of Canada's population growth in 2018. So if you can see the numbers here, Canada's population has reached to 3 crores 73 lakhs 14,442 as on January 1st, 2019, which is a huge in number. So a new Statistic Canada report reveals how immigration to Canada continues to be the main driver of population growth, with a total increase of 3,21,065 new immigrants in the year 2018. So by the start of 2019, Canada's population has reached about 3 crores 73 lakhs 14,442, following a record increase of new immigrants in the fourth quarter of 2018. So over the course of 2018, we can say that Canada's population grew by over half a million, or about 5,28,421 people in number. The international immigration accounted for 80.5% of the growth, representing a combined total of 4,25,245 new immigrants and temporary residents to the country, Canada. All right, so here are the updates and news of Australia immigration. So there's a change in employment length calculation for Vetasis, wherein currently it uses only month and year to calculate the employment dates. So they will be considering the exact date, including day and month and year, for the date deemed skilled, to align with the Department of Home Affairs requirement for the date applicant's employment is considered as skilled. So hereafter, they will be calculating the day, date, month, and year. And also please note that they will continue to retrieve these dates from official documentations only. So supporting documentation can include the payslips, tax returns, and a statement of service from your employer, which clearly indicates the exact period of employment and, if applicable, any period of unpaid leaves. So it's also very important to ensure that you have submitted official documents to support your length of employment. So for the employment outside 10 years, Vetasis may also be considering employment outside the last 10 years if it is closely related to your occupation and is continuous employment with the same employer. So these are the updates for PhD students for VETASIS, wherein it has announced a change to their skills assessment criteria that will affect many PhD students who are studying in Australia and overseas. So VETASIS will no longer accept a full scholarship and stipend as work experience for the purpose of obtaining 1 year's work experience for a skill assessment or for work experience points. So we can say this is a major change and will also affect many PhD students, including those who intend to work in the career such as university lecturers and scientists. So what is meant to PhD applicants with a full scholarship? So for them, they will need to obtain paid work experience in your field after you have completed your PhD. And how to gain work experience in Australia after your studies? That means for many PhD students studying in Australia under subclass 485 visa will be essential to gain the work experience you require. So the PhD graduates may be eligible to apply for 485 visa for between 18 months and 4 years, depending upon when you first studied in Australia. So this is for the partner visa sponsorship, wherein the change is in requirement. So we have advised that there would be a change that will impact the partner visa application. Specifically, the following recent developments, these changes will take effect before 10th June 2019. Although the exact date is still unknown, this means the change can be implemented at any time before 10th June 2019. So as a part of for the criteria for partner visa, permanent residency requires the visa applicant to be sponsored by an Australian permanent residency or Australian citizen or who are eligible New New Zealand citizen. Together, the visa applicant and their partner have to submit their application to the Department of Home Affairs. So this new change will also require the Australian partner to lodge their application and have their approved before the partner visa application can be lodged. So it's still unclear how long the decision process of the sponsorship application will take place. However, the current process times are approximately 12 to 18 months. So these changes are to effect before 10th June 2019, but however, no further details have been released concerning to the exact date. So our recommendation is that eligible applicants looking to lodge wishlist in Australia partner visa to do it as soon as possible. Let's talk about the new migration agreement for South Australia. So the South Australian employers will benefit from the pending introduction of two designated area migration agreements, wherein the government of South Australia is currently finalizing the details of the designated area migration agreements with the Australian Department of Home Affairs. So the designated area migration agreements will enable South Australian employers to sponsor skilled overseas workers for positions they are unable to fill with local workers. So the designated area migration agreements will also provide access to additional occupations and concessions to the standard immigration program. South Australia's designated area migration agreements will also utilize the labor agreement stream of the temporary skill shortage visa, that's subclass 482. So businesses will enter into labor agreement with the Australian government, and also workers will then be granted a subclass 482 visa. So as the agreement are an employer-sponsored visa program, the individual workers cannot apply for visa independently. So this is about South Australia's designated area migration agreements, which are the Adelaide Technology and Innovation Advancement Agreement, which usually focuses on Adelaide's high-tech growth industries, including defense, space, technology, and advanced manufacturing industries. So talking about the South Australian Regional Workforce Agreement, which usually focuses on the South Australia's regional high-growth industries, including agribusiness, forestry, health and social services, tourism and hospitality, construction, and mining. So what are the key aims? So this is a pathway to permanent residency for visa holders in most occupations listed. So the wider range of occupations that reflect skilled and semi-skilled shortages in South Australia with no caveats to apply. And also the English language concessions for same occupations would be done. Salary concessions in relevant occupations that reflect South Australia's market rates, ensuring that worker terms and conditions of employment are not eroded. So the increased age limit for selection occupation. So moving ahead, developing the designated area migration agreement, the government of South Australia has consulted with a range of stakeholders in the industries covered by the designated area migration agreements, wherein the government of South Australia will continue to consult with employers as the designated area migration agreements are implemented. So it's expected that the designated area migration agreements will be rolled over the next few months. So here are the news and updates of USA immigration. About the EB5 visa, there is a 300% increase in number of entrepreneurial visas since last 2 years. So if you can see here, there is a jump of 300% in the 2 years, wherein Indians are buying green card. So the number of Indians getting investment linked EB5 visa in the US also are known as cash for green card. So it had risen nearly fourfold in the past 2 years. So according to the statistic issued by the US Department of State's 585 such conditional green cards were issued to Indians during the 12 months period ending in the month of September 2018, as against 174 in fiscal year 2017. So compared with the allotment of just 149 conditional green card during fiscal year 2016, this reflects a massive increase of 293% over a 2 year period. So talking about in terms of number of visas granted, wherein India toppled South Korea and Taiwan to take the third spot behind China and Vietnam in fiscal year 2018. So, over the past few years, hundreds of Indians, including those already working in the US, have been lining up to apply for EB5, which is an investment linked visa. So the weight has borne fruit, going up the huge jump in numbers. So if you see here, the EB5 program requires an investment of $1 million and creation of at least 10 jobs. So this limit drops to 5 lakh dollars for investment in certain targeted employment areas. So the table here speaks about the EB5 visa wherein India gains foothold in top 3. Talking about India, we can see there in the below. In the year 2016, there were about 149 numbers of EB5 visas. In 2017, it went up to 147 EB5 visa. However, talking about 2018, there is about 300 percentage increase of numbers for 585 EB5 visas. So expected to be a great increase even in this year. Okay, so if anybody is looking forward to apply for EB5 visa, here is a great opportunity for you all to apply and grab this opportunity as soon as possible. Self-PIP. So what's CELPIP? This is a Canadian English Language Proficiency Index program. So we have two in CELPIP. One is general, the other one is general with the category of listening and speaking. So knowing more about CELPIP, as we know, this is the Canadian English Language Proficiency Index program. So most of us would be thinking whether CELPIP is tougher than IELTS or IELTS is more tougher than CELPIP. So this is an answer for you all. Both IELTS and CELPIP were designed to measure English language proficiency, and also the level of difficulty is approximately the same in both tests. However, in certain sections can be viewed as easier or more difficult by individual test takers, wherein everybody knows that IELTS, that's International English Language Testing System, is a paper-based exam, while Canadian English Language Proficiency Index program is a completely computerized program. The CELPIP general test has four components usually, which is likewise with IELTS. There are listening, reading, writing, and speaking. However, the CELPIP general LS test has only two components, that's listening and speaking. So the total test time for CELPIP general test is about 3 hours, and the total test time for the CELPIP general LS test is about 1 hour and 10 minutes. The express entry profile is valid for 12 months, so please make sure that your language test results are valid for the same time period. You should also take the CELPIP general test. When we're talking about general test, it's about the four components, which are listening, reading, writing, and listening. Speaking. For express entry application, the CELPIP General LS, which is for listening and speaking, test assesses functional listening and speaking proficiency and is accepted by IRCC, that is Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship of Canada, as proof of English language proficiency for Canadian citizenship. So talking about where are the test centers for CELPIP in India. So if you can see here, clearly says that we have a test center of CELPIP in Chandigarh, wherein tests are conducted on daily basis. And the fees is approximately 10,845 Indian rupees. So here is an equivalent chart which shows and talks more about what is CELPIP and what is IELTS. So if we talk about CELPIP CLB level 9, we can see 9 in all the four components. That is, for reading we have 9, writing we have 9, listening we have 9, and speaking we have 9. So overall, for CLB level 9, we have to achieve 9 in all the four components. And accordingly, for CLB level 8, one has to achieve 8 in reading, 8 in writing, 8 in listening, and 8 in speaking. So likewise for all the levels, according to the level, the score is been categorized. Talking about IELTS, for example, for CLV level 9, if we see, we have 7 for reading, 7 for writing, wherein it's 8 for listening and 7 for speaking. And for CLB level 7, that's 6 in all. 6 in all in the sense 6 for all the components like reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So that's CLB level 7. So which is usually the basic requirement for immigration. That's CLB 7. And CLB 7 for IELTS, and also for CLB level 7 is the same for CELPIP. All right. So with this, we come to the end of our session. I want to thank all the attendees who have joined this seminar and also hope to meet you all in the coming session with more updates and more news. Please don't forget to write in your questions and comments or any feedback to us, wherein you can contact us at expert@visalearning.com. I hope we had a good time knowing about this information. Looking forward to meet you all in the next session. Till then, have a good day. Thank you.